Hey everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it's time once again for another movie review. This time around, I will be reviewing Madam Web from 2024 that you guys graciously picked for me to watch this week. After watching Howard the Duck, I'm prepared for anything, so I wasn't really that worried about how bad this movie would be, um, and it's pretty bad. It was directed by S.J. Clarkson, who also this was her first feature film directing. She usually does TV stuff. She did episodes of Jessica Jones and Succession. It was written by Matt Sazama, Burke Sharpless, and Claire Parker, and I think they are the ones to blame for this movie more than S.J. Clarkson. The movie stars Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb. Har har. Sydney Sweeney as Julia Cornwall, Isabella Merced as Anya Corazon, and Celeste O'Connor as Maddie Franklin. And first of all, I'd like to say I've never really understood Sony's Spider-Man universe, the SSU. All these movies take place in Spider-Man's world, but they can't mention, show, or directly reference Spider-Man in any way. It sort of reminds me of when I was a little kid and I had some Star Wars figures and there was a figure I wanted but didn't have yet, and I'd create stories about that character as, this person is coming, but he can't appear because, he was out of stock at the toy store or my mom couldn't afford him or whatever. It's sort of very similar vibe here, is that, we're playing in Spider-Man's world, but for some reason he just can't make an appearance. But Ben and Mary Parker do exist in this universe, but Peter Parker apparently hasn't been born yet. Anyway, the movie is about Cassandra Webb, creatively named, who works with Ben Parker, who's played by Adam Scott, and they are paramedics in New York. We learn that Cassie was a foster child and that her real mother was killed while researching spiders in Peru. And of course, these spiders had the ability to give people superpowers. And through a very convoluted and ridiculously contrived set of circumstances, Cassie learns that she has the ability to see a few seconds into the future, but she can't control it. And then somehow she accepts the responsibility of saving 3 young girls from a mysterious costumed man who can crawl on walls and jump incredible distances, who looks an awful lot like a knockoff Spider-Man. But strangely, though, he can't shoot webs and is once referred to as Spider-Person. Most of the 2-hour running time of this movie is spent trying to put the pieces in place for a sequel that's probably never going to happen. And it's sad because these glimpses into the future look a hell of a lot more interesting than anything that takes place in this movie's present. For those wanting a female superhero story, this was a great opportunity to finally have one. But yet none of the women in this movie get to be superheroes in the film within the story that it's actually telling. We see glimpses of it, but those are all glimpses, the aforementioned glimpses into the future, and we never get to actually see these women be the superheroes that they're supposed to become. So basically, during the running time of this movie, they just dress nice and show off their chiseled abs and hint that they're all really smart by solving simple math problems or alluding to the fact that they have an interest in science. Madam Web, the character, doesn't do much more here than receive endless amounts of exposition in some sort of spider web universe in her subconscious. And this realm seems to exist only to serve up bits of the story that the script can't be bothered with or doesn't want to give out in a more creative way. It's really just lazy writing. And I can't really fault any of the actors for their performances in this movie, because honestly, the fact that any of them got through any and all takes without bursting into laughter is an achievement in and of itself. Dakota Johnson, who's regularly panned as a bad actress, actually is pretty good here because at least she plays things with the right attitude, sort of. Sidney Sweeney, who seems to be in everything these days, Celeste O'Connor, and Isabella Merced, they all play teenagers even though they all look 25. And it's funny because I averaged out their ages, and their average age is actually 26. The youngest of them is 24. The oldest is 28. So it was pretty close when I wrote that. I haven't even mentioned the editing, which seems to have been done by a kid hopped up on sugar, and the blatant to the extreme product placement by Pepsi. I'd like to say this movie was so bad it's good, but it's not worth sitting through the mediocre action, tensionless plot, and substandard dialogue for the payoff that basically says the sequel to this will be much more interesting to this than this movie. And now we know it's never going to be made because this movie bombed at the box office so hard. Um, this movie gets a 3 out of 10 from me, just basically because it was completed and it doesn't look that bad photography wise, but it was a chore to sit through. So thanks for making me sit through Madam Web. The polls will be offline for the next month. In February, I'll be doing my second chance reviews. I'll be looking at 4 movies from the 90s that I reviewed back in the 90s that I really didn't like at all, but I have a funny feeling that time may have changed my perception on them. So I'm going to watch them and compare my old review to my current feelings, and we'll see how that works out. Just going to try something new here on the channel. And that's about it. So thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. I appreciate your attention span. As always, thanks for subscribing if you're a new subscriber. And if you're an old subscriber, thanks for sticking around. And we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.